Welcome back, everybody, to the back nine of the 2022 Star City Shootout presented by Zen Llama Disc Golf. Yet again, we're at Beal Slough Disc Golf Course. I'm Lupe Demas alongside James Fleege. We're here for the back nine and the conclusion of this awesome event.
Yeah, excited to see these guys come down the stretch and finish this one off.
It's a really, really cool course, like we've said, from the front nine. If you haven't checked that out yet, make sure to go check that out. We've got a lot of really cool holes on the front nine, and the back nine has, I think, some even more challenging holes.
Yeah, it gets pretty technical down the stretch after about hole 14 through 18. You can see a lot of scoring separation there, and those holes can really make or break your round. So we'll see how it goes for these guys.
So just like the front nine, we've got the same card. We've got James Chamberlain, Jonathan Fletcher, Jake Hebenheimer, John Jones, and Logan Harpool heading in to hole number 10 here.
And a surging Jesse Adame from the chase card, too. Got to keep an eye out for that guy. He had a great front nine.
So we head into hole number 10, a par 4 at 500 feet, and this is a challenging hole.
Yeah, we'll see how these guys choose to play it, but being 500 feet, this green is definitely reachable for some of these guys off the tee. To do so, you're going to have to get something up pretty high, letting it drift and maintain that flight path all the way to the basket. Safer alternative here, which is also going to give you a good look at a birdie, is just chipping up to around 300 feet and then using a mid-ranger putter to access the green. But the green is guarded by some trees on the front side and surrounded by the slough on the back side. So certainly things to be mindful of on that approach.
Logan teeing off here on hole number 10. He's going to take that chip up route that you were talking about, just little forehand at the top of the hill, and I think he's just going to throw a putter into the basket there.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention along the left side of the fairway, you can see that Mo cut line there and the white stakes. That is all OB. James coming real close to that. But the danger with the big Anheuser play, going for the eagle or trying to bite off more distance on the drive, is if that thing hyzers out, you're going OB.
Or in John's case, pulling it really far right, goes into kind of the right side of those trees. I think he was still safe, though.
Yeah, and there is water down there, but I don't believe John got through those trees enough to get there.
There was a halo wraith there for Jake Hebenheimer, and you know, we were just talking about how cool it would be to be able to throw as far as Jake Hebenheimer can throw.
Yeah. Unfortunately, his shot kind of fought out a little bit early there, went OB.
Fletcher's was a very good shot, a little bit lower than maybe he would have liked, but a really good shape to the shot. And there you can kind of see those trees. There's about 6 or 7 trees that really guard the front side of the basket.
Yeah, kind of the play here on an approach shot is just lay it out to the right. You really don't have to contend with those trees. You can just lay out a simple hyzer shot, except, about a 20-foot putt at the basket for birdie. And that's exactly what you see Jake doing there. A little dangerous skipping deep OB, but I think he's safe.
Said Logan pushed the OB a little bit closer than I think he would have liked, but pretty straightforward. He's going to have a tap-in birdie.
Fletcher cuts that a little tight. Bad bounce there.
Yeah, really tough roll away. And that's the last thing that you need at this point. He struggled on the front nine. He had a good tee shot, good opportunity to score, and with that upshot, takes himself out of the opportunity to score.
Good putt. Good putt, James.
Just a bunch of cleanups here as we kind of get ready for hole number 11. So now we head into hole number 11. It's a 351-foot par 3. There's a Mando on the left, creek on the right, and it's uphill the whole way. So it plays definitely further than that 351.
Yeah, uphill indeed. And the placement of your drive is going to be really important on this one as you look to putt. The basket sits on kind of a land peninsula here with the ground sloping down on 3 sides around it. And then you got the slough behind that, about 25 feet behind the basket. So you're lining up the death putt here in most instances, and if you miss, get a bad bounce, whatever it may be, there's a real chance of rolling OB, or at the very least, you got an uphill comeback putt to save your par.
It looks like Logan is taking a Maverick and just kind of throwing it straight, flat, high, letting it work to the left.
Yeah, that's going to put him right about circle's edge there with a dangerous putt.
And James kind of contending with that Mando on the left, but, I mean, if anything, that's probably the safest play.
John doesn't like that one out of the hand. That's going to be more left than he wants to be.
That's a really pretty line from Jake. A little deep, I think. Yeah, definitely deep. If you're going for that straight line, you kind of want to throw something a little bit shorter so that you can give yourself, at the very least, a really simple pitch up, but hopefully an opportunity for a birdie.
Yeah, you should have a look at the back door there.
No, I have not.
Fletch kind of struggled there to keep something in the air, turned over, and then had to pitch up. And as you can see, that basket is sitting on a precipice. From our vantage point, it looks like a death putt, and I promise you, from the putter's vantage point, it really looks like a death putt.
Leave that in there.
No need for Logan to be running that putt at this point in the round with how the scores are sitting.
Absolutely.
This is a man who looks like he is not laying up.
Very, very tough putt to run, but a really good bid at it.
Yeah, and about 15 feet behind where Jake is where the slough is there. So always danger of going out of bounds, but nice comebacker for him there.
Yeah, absolutely. Fletcher gets the par there, and we have a couple more pars coming up here from these guys, and we head into hole number 12, a nice long bomber hole. So we head into hole number 12, a 701-foot par 4. Players are going to try to just bomb one off the tee, and then what are they going to contend with?
Yeah, this is one of the few holes on the course where big arms can really just let it rip off the tee. There's a lot of space out there. There is some OB to contend with. I don't really see it coming into play for these guys off the tee. But it definitely tightens up on the second shot as you're going to be throwing back across a little tributary stream that's staked OB, and the basket is pitched on a retaining wall on a little bit of a hillside. That a lot of OB surrounding it, difficult approach shot where you got to be real mindful of angle control coming in there.
So I think Logan's taken one of his favorite ballista pros out right here. I like to pretend that I know what some of these guys throw, and I know that he's throwing that ballista pro.
Kind of surprised to see Logan not bite off a little bit more on the drives. Where he landed, there's a little bit of a slope, and off the tee, you really kind of need to choose whether or not you want to play short of that or play long of that, because that is going to make a big difference in his run-up as he approaches the basket, and you probably got about 350, 370 from where he's at. So, yeah, ideally do not want to be landing on that sloped area.
John getting a full flight out of this disc, kind of getting over the top of this, letting it work its way over. Maybe a little bit too high, but I mean, at that point, you're just kind of taking with what you're getting when you're throwing that far.
Yeah, not a bad place to be where John is.
Now, this looked like a smash, and it was a smash, certified, but he did end up on the left side, kind of in the trees, which is not where you want to be.
Fletcher will have a look from over here. At this angle, he's either going to need to lay up or press and turn something over to penetrate that green. That is looking good.
Yeah, that's a great, great line. Kind of gets knocked down there at the end, but I mean, can't ask for much more. And this is an interesting play. He's just kind of, I think James is just going to chip up here at this point. Yeah, just a simple chip up. But with that forehand, I was surprised with the forehand more than anything, because I feel like if you cut it short, you're putting yourself behind that bigger tree on the right side.
Yeah, I think he probably wanted to swing that out to the left a little bit more than he did. But in that situation, you know, you're laying up about 175 feet, just throwing whatever's comfortable and easiest for you. And John going for the green here.
And doing a great job at it. Now, I'll say that I don't think that Jake could have ended up in a worse spot on this fairway just based on the low ceiling that he had. Like I said, he threw it really far, able to get across that little tributary in two, but not the most ideal position to be in off your tee shot.
Now you kind of really start to get a look at that green with the basket perched up there. So left of the basket is OB, in front of the basket is OB. Really easy for a disc to stand up and roll OB if you're not mindful of angle control on the approach here. There he is.
And that's an awesome putt for Fletcher. Confidence booster for sure after a tough front nine.
Great birdie to get on hole 12. Don't see a lot of those. It's averaging just a little bit above par, but not too many birdies throughout the day.
Yeah, just kind of sit in the middle of the pack. I think for a lot of people, they're able to just let loose on their drive, lay up, take the four, like some of the people on our card have been able to do. But like you said, for Jake, a great birdie to get.
A tap-in birdie from John. That's just perfect execution on hole 12 right there.
All right, so now we head into hole 13, a 266-foot par 3. What is everybody looking at?
Well, this is one of the simpler tee shots at Beal Slough, and you really got to pick up the birdie here as you head into the final challenging home stretch of the course. Main thing to worry about off the tee here is just making sure you land in the fairway, as the tee is an island. If you don't make it, you got to proceed to the drop zone, and really difficult to save par from there. That being said, it's spring, the leaves are still coming in. This should be a fairly easy tee shot for these guys, and I expect to see all of them up in circle 1, circle 2.
So after that awesome birdie on hole 12, we got John stepping up on the tee of hole 13 here. Like you said, just throwing something flat, a little bit of overstability, and putting himself right next to the basket.
Perfect.
This looked really good as well.
I should have no issues straddling out from behind that tree there.
Logan doesn't take a ton of time when he steps up to the tee shot, or even his putts, honestly. But especially on a hole like this, I feel like you can kind of step up. You know exactly what you need to do. Once you get past the initial gap, the disc can do whatever it wants to do, and you'll be able to take your score however you need to.
Yeah, no sense in overthinking this one. That looked like an ace run there from James.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, speaking of ace runs.
Absolutely. Fletcher, when he gets going, he can really tear up this course. I know he's shot really well at this course in the past. Great birdie there for Logan. I love Logan Harpool's putt. That nose up, spinny, just...
Yeah, very floaty, very smooth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all these guys making short work of this hole.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, pretty basic hole, looking at a star frame here. So now we head to hole 14, a 259-foot par 3. It's in the deep position here. What are guys looking at as they try to get through this initial gap?
Well, beyond the gap, you really just got a lot of slough to contend with, as right when you cross into the woods, the slough snakes into the fairway and then winds back out, surrounding the fairway on all three sides. Speed control is going to be really important on this one as the disc settles. The places to miss here are slightly left or right, but not too long of your line. If you do that, you'll still end up with a circle's edge putt. You might just have a little bit more foliage to contend with on those putts.
Looks like John's just going with a putter here, just something floaty, but he kind of turns it over a little bit. He should be safe, I believe, but he'll have, I think, a couple of trees to contend with on his putt.
Yeah, and similar to the last hole, this one also has a drop zone. If you go OB off the tee, you have to go to the drop zone, and very difficult, again, to save the par if that happens.
This is an awesome line. Just high, let it float down. Just let the disc do all the work for you.
Probably a little more left than Logan wanted, but that should work out for him.
Yep.
Probably have a few branches to contend with, but likely inside of the circle.
And you know, one thing that I think is important to note here as well is that for a lot of these guys, they've obviously played this course before, and some of them maybe haven't, but if you know the course well enough, you know that at this point, you have to get your strokes now because they're going to be hard to come by once you keep moving. So there might be even more pressure on this hole, I think, than on hole 13, just based on the fact that it's so much pressure to just get strokes right off the bat.
Yeah, and I mean, this particular hole only being 259, you can see the basket straight ahead right off the tee. You know, it presents itself, it should be pretty simple, but there's a lot of areas you can get into trouble to real quick.
And just left side yet again for Fletcher. He's missed in that exact same spot on, I think, 4 holes.
Surprising miss there from Logan. Must have had a weird angle at it there.
Yeah, I think he's had to straddle kind of around a tree and kind of give it a little bit of hyzer too. But a great birdie there for Jake. And at this point, I'm not sure what everybody was looking at, but everybody was just looking at something sitting in the slough. So hole 15, a 320-foot par 3, what I would say is probably the signature hole on the course. Just the prettiest looking hole. It's a straight up hallway to the basket, but it's not as easy as it may look.
Yeah, definitely a challenging and picturesque hole, and a couple different ways you can go about attacking this one, but I think my favorite play here is putting a fairway driver down, kind of flexing it down to the right, and then letting it skip back up to the basket at the end. Really hard to reach the basket just in air, and you kind of got to rely on that ground play at the end of its flight.
But Jake stepping up here, looking to kind of penetrate something through that smaller gap on the right side, gets a good skip, but a really, really bad reaction off of a tree that you can't even see from where we're standing.
And also the slough is running along the right side of the entirety of this hole. It would be pretty close whether or not Jake stayed safe or ended up in the water.
And both James and John Jones kind of pulling their drives off to the right a little bit, and they're going to have to scramble to get their par.
Yeah, I really got to keep it low off the tee here.
And Logan, I think he squared that tree right up, but he had the right idea when it came to keeping the disc low.
Yeah, there's some looks from down there if you hit early, but I think the next shot for Logan will be a little bit scrambly as he looks to get up to the pin.
Yeah, that's just a great shot. Just putting it on a little bit of hyzer angle, going against the hill, just letting it coast right up to the basket.
Yeah, I like the creative play from Logan, just using the ground play to his advantage there when he doesn't have the ceiling to work with.
And like we said, it's 323 feet, so it's not a long hole, but as you're walking down the tunnel, it feels a lot longer just based on the fact that you're just kind of claustrophobic inside all of these trees. And once you get to the opening here towards this retaining wall, that's when you kind of have a look like John does here. He can kind of give it a little bit of a bid up to the basket.
Ooh, great putt. And that's going to be 4 in a row for Hebenheimer.
Yeah, and that's going to put him in a tie with John Jones once John cleans up his par putt.
Yeah, both of those guys are going to be sitting at 13 down with Logan at 16 down heading into the last few holes here.
Let's just clean it up here.
Ooh, sneaky. Pride of Nebraska right there. In going through the cage, John Jones debuting a new putting style, having a little fun there.
So now we head into hole 16, a 361-foot par 3. It's in the B position, so it's on the right side, and that opens up a couple different angles to throw your tee shot on.
Yeah, the preferred play here is going to be a flip to flat shot that starts drifting and carrying right about 40% into its flight. And from there, it can carry all the way up to the basket. Certainly some trees to contend with, though. You'll also see some people attack this with a forehand, but in doing so, you got to be mindful of that skip as the slough runs along the entire right-hand side of the fairway.
Like you said, there's quite a few options heading into this hole, and it looks like Jake's going to take the forehand route. And Jake's got a really good forehand. Very powerful, very controlled.
That is perfect.
Yeah, that looks amazing. I mean, just a pretty neutral disc, it looked like. Nothing too overstable. Slight hyzer out of the hand, get it to flip up right away, and just kind of float right down to essentially where he wants to be.
Yeah, and I do think the shape of this hole sets up better for a backhand, but obviously Jake proving right there that you can totally throw a forehand shot and have it work out great. But with the forehand, it does bring into play the disc potentially skipping to the right and going OB in the slough.
Yeah, a couple of backhands for both James and John, and Logan hitting left side early.
Yeah, he'll be scrambling. Should have a look to pitch his way up the fairway a little bit.
Jonathan also pulling his tee shot. And one thing to note here as well is that it's kind of an interesting course design where you're kind of forced to go in and out of the trees back and forth on the last, I would say, 5 holes probably. And
Yeah.
so you're contending, kind of like we said earlier, you're contending with the wind, but even more so now when it matters towards the end of this tournament, everybody's trying to feel the wind when they're up on the tee, but then not knowing what it's doing in the trees.
Yeah, absolutely. This hole in particular, the first 125 feet when you're out in the open, the wind can be ripping out there. And once you get back into the woods, it's completely still. So yeah, that can definitely affect the tee shots for these players.
And by the way, that was an awesome roller for Fletch. I think that's all he had. And I think especially because at this point, he kind of knows that he's out of contention for the win. So he's trying to really just push, try to get some cool shots in, try to get something that can just give him a little bit of momentum closing out this tournament.
Nice little chip up there.
And a safe little layup for Logan.
Yeah, he's going to be taking a bogey here, losing another stroke to these guys.
John definitely trying to score here. He really wanted to get that shot in. And I think that was off of his tee shot. Am I correct?
Yeah, his drive was able to fight through and give him a birdie look. Unfortunately, couldn't capitalize on it.
Good putt there for James and also for Jonathan.
Look at that drive. That is a great 2 to get on this hole.
That's insane.
That is.
For people that have not played this course, it is insane. And for people that have played this course, dually insane.
Yeah, that is the best drive I've seen on this hole. And also with that birdie and Logan taking a 4, that's going to put Hebenheimer 1 stroke behind Logan heading into the final 2 holes.
So now we head into hole number 17, a 529-foot par 4, very specific angle off the tee, and a lot of trees to contend with once you get closer to the basket.
Yeah, the tee shot is everything in setting up this hole when trying to score. you're going to want to put something out there that's drifting right, but still carrying, trying to get out to that 325-ish mark to get out into the open, or at least a window to look at the basket. From there, a couple different ways you can attack it. The basket is on an elevated green, and lots of things to be mindful of on the tee on this one. Dense woods on the left, OB slough on the right, and then once you get up to the basket, the location of the future city bike trail beyond that is OB as well.
After that absolute fillet job of a birdie, poor Jake, he's going to head into hole number 17. Like you said, one back of Logan in first place and a bit of an errant tee shot off the drive.
Yeah, interesting play seeing the roller here, kind of introducing the different variables that rollers do. But even if that would have got through clean, I'm not sure that biting off that extra distance really benefits him all that much here.
John just clipped just the smallest of branches. He still ended up in a good spot, though. He didn't get kicked too far left or right.
Get in. Yeah, James is safe.
Yeah, the concern with the forehand, for me at least, is pushing it too straight and going almost directly into the tree line on the left side. Logan put really good angle on his felon to get that to skip right and to not go deep into the woods on that left side.
Yeah, and that's the importance of kind of knowing this hole ahead of time. Where Logan played to, he didn't feel a need to get out into the open because you don't need to bite off all that distance, really. And he's just setting himself up for a better second shot as he approaches the green.
Like I said, John ended up in a good spot, trying for the roller, tried to get it turned over, but unfortunately had to swing it out wide just to get it down on that angle. And Logan left it a little bit short. He left it significantly shorter than I thought he would have left it.
Yeah, he was definitely wanting a little more distance and also pushing that a little more left than he did.
I think on this second shot, your mistake should be to push the basket deep. Because you're very unlikely to go all the way to the OB, especially with a forehand. You're really just, you're going to end up to the backside of the brick facade there. But for the most part, you're just trying to get yourself further down that fairway without contending with those trees on the right side.
Oh, and it's clear back there also. And where you saw Logan land, I mean, coming up short, you're going to have some trees to contend with going at an elevated basket. And Jake going OB off the tee here. That's the slough just beyond him there. That was flagged off as OB for the round. And he's going big.
Yeah, definitely going big, over the top. Forehand hyzer. Like I said, he's a power. He's kind of one of those unicorn type players where he's got a lot of finesse, but a lot of power all in the same stroke. It's very interesting to watch him play. And here, James is just going to have to kind of pitch up to the basket, not really giving it a huge bit, a little bit. But
a little softer on there. And Jake actually going long OB on this hole beyond that future bike trail location. Here he is putting to save bogey. Ooh.
John from within the tree, really a good bid. A great bid, actually.
Yeah.
But this is what we were talking about with Logan. He, leaving it short, he put himself in position to contend with these trees. Not an ideal stance.
Yeah, that's a tough look from there. That cedar that's in front of him, those branches hang a little low. And as you can see, his disc just grabs one of those there. Ooh.
And then to make matters worse, to miss high like that, not ideal.
Well, 17 giving these guys fits right now.
Yeah, absolutely. No! That's a tough putt to miss. That's a tough putt to miss. I know that Jake knows that he can make that putt, and I think it's extremely frustrating, especially for him, because he had just worked so hard to get himself in position to contend for the lead, and taking a 7 on that hole pretty much takes him out as long as Logan plays the next hole for par, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a tough spot for a lapse in your round, especially after he got those 5 birdies in the row coming down the stretch. But as I mentioned earlier, Beal Slough is really a course where you got to fight and push all the way to the end, and especially down this finishing stretch of holes, they can get pretty nasty. Or if you're playing well, you can really make up some ground on your opponents.
So we head into hole 18, the final hole of the Star City Shootout. Par 4, 484, Mando on the right side, and OB Creek short of the green. So kind of a tough hole.
Yeah, again, 2 different types of tee shots you're going to see here. Some guys are going to lay up in front of the mouth of the woods, and then other guys are going to get aggressive, trying to penetrate that to better set themselves up for birdie. Once you get past that initial line of trees, as you mentioned, there is an OB bunker and still plenty of trees to contend with as you approach this 18th green.
James taking the box here. It looks like he's just going to lay up to the front, kind of like you said. That's I would say that's the more traditional route if you're not really looking to make a push. But here for some of these guys, they're really just going to try to make a push here. Fletcher doesn't have much to lose at this point, so he's really trying to push the backside.
Yeah, and Fletcher's going to end up left. There is not a lot of great options from over there, but we'll see what he ends up with. I think James wanted to bite off a little bit more on that drive than he actually got.
Yeah, it's kind of touchy when you're laying up. You don't want to end up too close to the tree line, more than anything, because if you get too close, you're going to end up kind of in that ditch. But if you end up too short, then you have to contend with all those trees as well.
And that'll be a good place for Logan to be as he looks to close down the round, but so close to being a perfect shot from John. If that would have just drifted a tiny bit more right, he would have really got up the fairway there.
That's looking really good. But
that is pretty tight against the Mando. Well, yeah. He definitely is safe from the Mando, but we'll see where he ended up at.
And kind of like you said, that it was a little bit shorter than James would have wanted to be, just because he had to, essentially throw a pitch-up shot just to get up towards the fairway. That was Jonathan in there trying to pitch out.
Oh, John with his signature fake-out swing there. But from this point, he should have a pretty good look at the basket. And yeah, that's a great shot from John.
And Logan's just laying up here. At this point, he has no reason to really go for any big shots or anything like that.
This is a pretty technical, demanding look here we're going to see from James. Playing the skip. Ooh, and I think that got hung up on a tree. He likely went down in that OB bunker.
And this is that ditch that I was talking about. When I was watching this, I thought... Yeah. I thought that he was going to try to go left side Anheuser. I didn't really think he was just going to go straight at it, but he sure did. He was trying to ring that up.
Yeah, threading the needle is so close from Jake.
A good bid there from James. So James will finish his round at 1 over par, and Jonathan at 6 over, unfortunately. John Jones is going to finish with a 3 under round on the day. Jake Hebenheimer, 4. And then we've got Logan Harpool, your 2022 Star City Shootout champion.
And you're now 2-time Star City Shootout champion, Logan Harpool, winning $1,000. Thank you. First, I want to thank these guys that run the tournament, Tony and whoever else had a hand in it. It's not easy. I've been asked to run some events and I don't even know where to start. So to come to something like this, it's this well put together. It's a nice change of pace. Without dynamic discs, I'm not doing what I'm doing. So I got to thank them, and thank you guys. The community here in Lincoln is kind of unique. I think Jake can probably attest. Not everywhere we go we get a reception like we get here, but we know when we show up here, people are friendly and it's a fun, enjoyable place to be. So I plan to come back in the future and throw down with you guys again. So thank you.
And there you have it. your 2022 Star City Shootout presented by Zen Llama Disc Golf champion Logan Harpool. James, a great tournament, a great event, and especially a great final round.
Yeah, lots of fun watching these guys attack the course today. Really cool to see players of this caliber come into Lincoln and play this new course that we've built within the past year. And we saw a bunch of great shots throughout the day today. And of course, Hebenheimer's push down the stretch there, getting those 5 birdies in a row, unfortunately ending on hole 17, and Beal Slough really showing how it can sink its teeth in there. But congrats to Logan for coming away with the W. Got to talk to him a little bit as they were playing throughout the round, and great guy. Always good to have him back in Lincoln, winning the Shootout for the 2nd year in a row. And yeah, looking forward to the 32nd annual in 2023.
Once again, congratulations to Logan, and for everybody else that was able to put effort into this tournament, that, you know, in the community, that helped to mow, and everything that went into this tournament was just amazing. So thank you to you. For James Fleege and everybody else in the Lincoln Flying Disc Club, I just want to say thank you for watching this coverage. My name's Lupe Dimas. Have a great one.